Hello everyone, welcome to EVTN News, and once again I am reminding you that these live streams will take place maybe at different times during the summer, just depending on my schedule. So um, this is slightly later than normal, but I believe in a few weeks I may have a schedule conflict, so we'll see what happens. Maybe I won't even have a video, but just stay tuned on the channel. And hopefully you'll get a notification. I know that some people are not. So, yeah, hopefully if you're not getting a notification, you will at some point. If you need to like re-add notifications if you want that. Anyway, I like to have a lot of people on the live stream. So, it's up to you. Okay, so let's start out with this EVTN news stories. Before I do that, though, I guess I just want to talk about like my, I guess the future stories that I'm going to choose to talk about. And it's going to be, so it'll be less. I'm not going to talk so much about what Francis says. I said last time I have Francis fatigue. And I did see a quote recently where Pope Francis will completely change his plans just to spite someone. Um, he wants to be unpredictable, and so even if he has something planned, he may just choose to do something completely different that he hasn't planned for, just to I don't know, mess with people, just to be unpredictable. And that would explain a lot of his decisions. um, and then he'll say off the cuff, just random things off the cuff. I think LMNOP relationships. He says one thing, does another, so no one actually knows what his real opinion is. Although you can pretty much tell that he has a lot of friends um, that are very favorable towards LMNOP relationships, and very many cardinals that he recently appointed that are big time supporters of LMNOP, and especially the document with the blessings. In his 60 Minutes interview, he said that he was against, I think he said he was against LMNOP relationships or something. No, he was against LMNOP blessings. And I was shocked because, or not shocked, but actually I wasn't surprised, because that's typical of what he would say. When in reality, he fully supports LMNOP blessing, and he could always retract that document wanted, if he really were opposed to LMNOP blessings. And also, I think in the interview he said he was against women deacons, but he said what I've been calling for a long time, what I've been saying for a long time, and yeah, this is actually going to happen. They're going to try to create some kind of ministry for women, and they're going to allow women to do everything that deacons can. They're just not going to ordain them yet. At least, probably not while Francis is Pope, but I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to push it through in the fall, maybe around the synod. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna tone it down on my reporting on Francis's quotes, because if you read George Neumeier's book, The Political Pope, it was written in 2017. This was even before 2018 with the McCarrick scandal and the Vatican-China deal and all, all the red pills and everyone just having their eyes opened as to what Francis stands for, or maybe what he doesn't. I don't know. And now we have the Rupnik scandal. I'm going to tone it down on the Francis quotes, because it doesn't seem like they mean a whole lot. Now, I might talk about the documents, I might talk about the cardinals that he appoints, maybe some of what they say, because clearly someone like Hollerich, you can tell exactly what he wants. He wants everything that's anti-Catholic. Same with McElroy. So you can clearly tell what their intentions are. Francis, you really don't have, you really can't tell. And at this point, I'm tired of talking about Francis quotes. So, and that was kind of a mini rant. I will talk about different things that maybe he does, especially here. Um, yeah, I might talk about some things that he does, maybe some of his documents, some of his appointments. And again, here's your reminder: Bishop Stowe is probably going to be promoted to an archbishop, and very soon. I'm just kind of surprised it hasn't happened yet. I'm not really anticipating waiting for it. I'm not excited about it. But Lexington's going to uh, Lexington will have a much better bishop once Stowe is gone from there. I'm sure they will celebrate his departure, and someone will get a terrible archbishop. So, all right, let's start out with the news. The Vatican announced that Pope Francis has appointed Cardinal Kevin Farrell, prefect of the dicastery for the laity, family, and life, as special envoy for the 53rd International Eucharistic Congress, which will be held in Quito, Ecuador, from September 8th through 15th. So this is an international Eucharistic Congress, not the one that Francis infiltrated by appointing Tagle in the United States. But the what I said, the Francis network consists of maybe like 10 guys. It's extremely small. And these guys, I don't know why he keeps them in his network. Some of them gain favor, some of them lose favor. Farrell seems to be pretty consistent, and people wonder if Francis's network is what it is because these people are compromised. They have some kind of, what would you call it, like blackmail. They're easy to blackmail because they have some kind of, there's compromise in some way. Cardinal Farrell is a good friends with McCarrick. So he's a rising star in the Francis Church. I mean, not even rising. It's very apparent he's a star in the Francis Church, which is really disgusting. Anyway, he was appointed to the Eucharistic Congress. So what's his expertise? Well, he was friends with McCarrick. I guess that's why he gets promoted to a Eucharistic Congress. The Congress, whose theme is Fraternity to Heal the World, was presented last Monday, in the Vatican press room, after recalling that in 2021 they received the news that Quito would be the venue for the ecclesial event. Archbishop Alfredo Espinosa said that the Eucharistic Congress to be held in Quito ought to be a voice with a Latin American accent for the Church of the entire world. It will be a voice of hope that is announced from this continent of hope. It will seek to be that prophetic voice. That's a common phrase in the Francis Church, that will proclaim to everyone that brotherhood, Freemasonry, is the only possible way to build a new world. Okay, building a new world. Brotherhood. Okay, so is this the International Freemasonry Congress or the International Eucharistic Congress? What does brotherhood and building a new world have to do with the Eucharist? Again, this is modernism, and so this is waste. And Cardinal Farrell is the perfect guy to lead it because he has a background in McCarrick and not Catholicism. All right, next story. Reverend Fidel Rodriguez, age 66, was attacked twice during Eucharist not yesterday, but the previous Sunday, by a woman who later claimed she was an LMNOP. The incident took place at St. Thomas Aquinas Church in St. Cloud, Florida, the Diocese of Orlando. The woman first, this is the biting priest. The woman first attended the 10 a.m. Eucharist, the first communion of her niece. She stood in line for communion, went up to the priest but didn't know what to do. The priest, realizing that she had no knowledge of the sacrament, politely asked her when she had last received communion. She replied it had been many years. He asked her if she had gone to confession, to which she rudely replied, "I don't need to explain that to you." So he denied her communion. An hour later at noon, the woman reappeared in the church for another Eucharist, also celebrated by Reverend Rodriguez. The woman was accompanied by her female concubine, whom the priest did not know. The same situation repeated itself. The LMNOP presented herself again to Reverend Rodriguez and asked to be given communion. He asked her if she had gone to confession between the two Eucharists. The woman again became angry, verbally attacking Reverend Rodriguez and disrupting the liturgy. At this point, she physically attacked the priest, reaching for the chalice to steal a host. In her own words, "I tried to grab another cookie." Okay, she later claimed that Reverend Rodriguez took her hand and bit it. In reality, he was acting in self-defense when she pushed her forearm in his face. So it was a reactionary thing, and he was just trying to do what he could to defend himself in the Eucharist. And the Diocese of Orlando issued a statement on Thursday supporting the priest's efforts to defend the Eucharist. So they sort of, in a sense, they kind of distanced themselves from the action of biting someone, but they said that they commended him for defending the Eucharist. So there were some modernists on Twitter that were upset that the priest, they said, well, how would you attack someone who's just taking the Eucharist? And yeah, I think it was all about the LMNOP. They want active LMNOPs to receive communion, and of course Francis's document for LMNOP blessings would seem to further encourage this the support for the disordered lifestyle choices. So yeah, I mean, now I think once you read the full story, I don't know if it might have just been, she might have shoved him in the face and then it just happened that her arm was right in front of him and so he bit her arm, or she shoved it in his face and tried to physically attack him. I don't know. But she's trying to file charges against him, and I hope she fails. And because it is Florida, I think this probably will be good for the Catholics. It will probably turn out okay for the diocese. The priest he'll probably be reassigned. I just don't see. I see it could be a bad situation. Maybe given a sabbatical until things calm down, and then reassign him somewhere else. Because it seems like the bishop isn't in any rush to remove him or condemn him. But I think whenever a situation like that happens, sometimes it's best to let things cool down. And of course, you know that the LMNOP cult is going to try to violently protest. I mean, it's a violent group. It really is. They're just completely unhinged because of their mental issues, and we see that in a lot of situations recently. And of course, you won't find that in the mainstream media. But if you just look at the acts of violence, you will see that some of them are gender misidentified, people who identify as the incorrect gender, and yeah. So, all right, speaking of gender confusion, there were girl altar boys at a Vatican papal mass, and people think that is the first time that took place. So girl altar boys at a Vatican mass, and numerous popes have condemned the idea of women serving at the altar, and we've come to this. And Francis is trying to feminize the church, although he said, and today he said, and I'm breaking my own rule, but he said that Italians shouldn't accept LMNOPs to the seminary, and I'm like, well, you're promoting cardinals who are endorsing that activity, and what are their own lifestyles? I mean, it certainly begs the question, if they're so strongly supporting this activity, how many of them actually participate in it? And I mean, it's not something that I need to know, but it's certainly something that does make people wonder or speculate as to whether they're living a lifestyle that is disordered. Okay, so Kisses successor in Buenos Aires has resigned after he was appointed Archbishop of La Plata, um, Argentina, less than a year ago. So he succeeded Kissy, and no further details were given by the Vatican. But this bishop is 55. Archbishop is 55 years old, which is very interesting. This is Archbishop Gabriel Antonio Mestre. He was appointed Bishop of Mar de Plata. He was appointed there as a bishop at age 48. Francis made him a bishop. Okay, 2 bishops of Mar del Plata appointed by Francis after Mestre's departure for La Plata in 2023 resigned before being installed. So it's none of them are any good. Now, in a radio interview and another with a newspaper, Mestre denied that one needed to be in a state of grace to receive Holy Communion, denied that LMNOP acts are a grave sin, and said he had confirmed 2 men who dressed as women. Okay, and on May 27th, Francis summoned him to Rome to discuss problems in his former diocese of Mar del Plata, and on that occasion asked him to resign. So he's going to have to actually find someone who's going to stay there for more than, well, I mean, this guy actually stayed there. The first 2, can't really say anything about them because they didn't even take over. They didn't even start. So, yeah. All right, and again, more Francis stuff. Sorry. Francis received Buddhist monks from Thailand on May 27th, inviting them to build a friendship that would sustain peace and fraternity and build a more inclusive world. Francis said he was very happy they would hold a pagan prayer for peace in the Basilica of Santa Maria in Trastevere on May 28th. Imagine Francis' anger if monks were to celebrate a Latin Mass. But they can celebrate a pagan ceremony there, which makes us recall the Pachamama incident. So yeah, I guess we will see what they do and if there are any bishops or cardinals who participate in that, because certainly that would be sacrilege. And I don't know. I don't really know. Okay, I think that's the stories that I have. Let me get into the comments. Thanks for commenting. Months ago, I mentioned that the Purple Group went after our Archbishop Neinstadt. You said you felt he was guilty. I don't know. I don't actually know the full story of Neinstadt. Okay. Well, I don't know the story of Neinstadt. Sorry about that. I didn't do any research, but he was definitely removed for something, and I didn't see that news story. But if you have the news story, if you could post the link in the comments, I'd appreciate that. Because I know there were some, I don't know, the accusations make the news, but then the clearances never do. So, okay, that's all I have today. So, summer's nice. Enjoy the weather if you're in a place where the summer is nice. And I know I will. There are definitely places where the winters are nicer than the summers. I've been to some of those places. And in the winter, it sounds very nice. In the summer, it doesn't. So if you're in a place, enjoy your summer regardless. But if you're in a place that has nice summers, get outside, enjoy the weather. And until next time, this has been EVTN News. Thank you so much for watching. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.